Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and we will be reviewing Crisis on Earth X Part 3 from Season 4, Episode 8 of The Flash. So this picks up right where the last episode left off with the concentration camp scene, and we get a shot of the concentration camp, and on the gates it says Arbeit macht frei, which is German for work sets you free, which was actually, I looked it up, actually on the gates at the concentration camp in Auschwitz. So this is just heavy reference to the Nazi symbolism that they're really going for with this Earth X. They even have the prisoners have little badges on them. Martin Stein says they're used to label the crimes or why the prisoners are in the camp. And then we get Sarah's dad, Mr. Lance, is the sort of second hand to the Dark Archer Oliver. And he comes in and he mentions that he had to kill his daughter, his version of Sarah, because she was also a queer person as well. And it's kind of really sad, and you can see kind of the look on Sarah's face like, holy crap, this is what my version of my dad on this earth is. The whole concentration camp scene is really it's very depressing, it's very sad, and it definitely really hits the iconography of Nazi Germany, really. And that's what this whole episode really highlights is, what if the world was ruled by the Germans and how terrible it was. Nazi Germans, not normal Germans. Yeah, so that's all good stuff. And then, of course, we get them breaking away. We get introduced to a new character, Ray, and we get a new Leonard Snart, Leo, who breaks them out of the, they were going to be executed, lined up and shot, but he breaks them out. They can all escape back to this freedom fighter base camp, they call it, where we get General Winn Schott. So we'll come back to that in a minute, but the episode also starts off with Cisco and the rest of Team Flash and Team Arrow trapped in the metacells at Star Lab. And we get the Reverse Flash sort of rolling in on the wheelchair, sort of a throwback to Season 1 of The Flash when he was pretending to be Harrison Wells in a wheelchair. And we get him talking about how he's going to cut out Supergirl's heart and put it in Overgirl, and they have Supergirl under this red sun to make her weak and vulnerable so they can open her skin up. And I like this scene between Overgirl and Supergirl. It looks like Melissa Benoist is having a fun time playing Overgirl and getting to be evil. She's enjoying it. She's kind of giving it her all. She's really making Overgirl trying to be this powerful, superior person that's, just looking down on Supergirl for not acting superior. And Supergirl says she doesn't think of herself as better than other people. And it's kind of they kind of bring up this thesis throughout the episode. There's this idea that, the strong protects the weak, and Overgirl says something like, the strong get rid of the weak. And we'll come back to that. Oliver also says it later. He says the strong protect the weak. And so that's kind of the philosophical idea here at play between the heroes and the villains, is that the heroes protect the weak and the villains get rid of the weak. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I hadn't picked up on any type of strong message from these episodes. And then we get Iris and Felicity kind of like on a mission throughout Star Labs, trying to save Supergirl. I really love them teaming up together. I thought it was a lot of fun. They give some good references. Felicity calls Iris McClane as a reference to John McClane because they're crawling through the ducts like in Die Hard. And then Iris says to Kara, she says, "Come with me if you want to live," which is a reference to Terminator. So we get a lot of good references in this episode from them. I like them teaming up and working together. Felicity mentions sending a signal to the Legends. So not all of the Legends went to the wedding, apparently. So there are some left on the Wave Rider somewhere. I assume maybe that's where Ray Palmer is with Nate and Amaya and, I don't know, I think somebody else. So we'll probably see them in the next episode. But back at the base camp, the Freedom Fighter base camp, we get Alex trying to talk to General Schott because, of course, she knows Winn on her Earth. She thinks she can get to him through him. And, he does seem somewhat sympathetic towards her in her speech to him, but he also is very protective of his people and his Earth. And he just doesn't want to give her any time to get back to Earth 1. So So the whole idea here is there's a portal that is kept in some Nazi building that can get them back to Earth 1, but General Schott wants to blow it up because Overgirl and the evil Oliver are on Earth 1, so he wants to keep them trapped there so they can't get back, and also prevent anybody, unfortunately, from having to go through. So that means that our heroes would be stuck on Earth X. So she doesn't convince him, but then Leo and the Ray do convince General Schott, and he gives them a little bit of time to try and get there and try and get through the portal. And we get a good little scene between Leo Snart and the Ray, and it's revealed that they are a couple, and they're actually a really cute couple, actually. And it's nice seeing this kind of more sensitive, I guess, version of Leonard Snart, more kind version, more empathetic. So I like Wentworth Miller here in this version of Leonard Snart. And I really like the Ray character. I think he's a good character. I wish we could see more from him. And then Alex and Sarah get a really good talk scene. I really like Alex and Sarah teamed up in this crossover. I think they're great together. And, Sarah tells Alex about how Laurel died and how hard that was on her, and she tries to, promise Alex that they're going to save Kara, and she gets a good line. She says, you're on my team, and when you're on my team, I protect my team, and we're going to get your sister back. It's a really good little moment. I really like seeing the two of them together again. And of course, she kind of tells Alex, hey, you broke up with Maggie. It's probably for a good reason. Trust your instincts. And so hopefully that's the end of Alex pining over Maggie. And then we also get a good scene between Stein and Jax, where Stein, calls Jax his son and apologizes for not realizing that Jax is going to miss him, basically. So that's a good touching little scene, and it kind of, they have a couple scenes throughout this crossover so far. They've all been it's a good little character arc for the two of them, even though I don't watch Legends, but I can definitely tell that they have a father-son type of relationship. So back at Star Labs, Felicity and Iris sort of get Kara, but then they are immediately captured. Felicity shuts down the power, and then has to turn it back on because Reverse Flash wants to kill her. There's also a little interesting moment where Kara says that her cousin will come and save her, and Reverse Flash mentions that he fought Superman in the future, and he says, Superman's fast, I'm faster. So that's a good little line, good little Easter egg for Superman there. And that's kind of where we leave off with the Star Labs crew. And then we sort of go back to the battle at the warehouse, which is a fun battle. They're all fighting the little Nazis again, sort of like the third time, right? There's always a big battle, but this time we have Barry and Ray trying to stop the Red Tornado from bombing the warehouse and blowing up the portal back to Earth 1. The Red Tornado was a villain in Season 1 of Supergirl, so it's a cool little callback here. And of course, they are kind of no match for the Red Tornado. The Red Tornado kind of just, goes right through them almost. So they barely even slow it down. And then the rest of the team are being overrun by the Nazi soldiers. And the Firestorm character breaks up into Jax and Stein so that they can, I think Jax needs to hotwire something and Stein needs to turn on the portal or something like that. And unfortunately, Jax is under fire. He can't really move a lot. And Stein tries to run out. And then, sadly, he gets shot in the back. And that's where the episode ends, with Stein getting shot in the back and Jax calling out for him. So it's a very sad ending to this episode. And, of course, we'll pick up with that in the next episode. So this episode mainly just focused on the team on Earth X and sort of seeing what the world of Earth X has become. There is also a scene with Oliver pretending to be the evil version of him to get in to the lab. He meets with the evil Detective Lance character, and then the Lance character sort of figures out that he's pretending, and so he brings out the Earth X version of Felicity Smoke, who is Jewish, so she is in the concentration camp, has a little star on her badge, and he wants Oliver to kill her, and of course Oliver tries to turn the gun on Lance, and there's no bullets in it, so that kind of gives away the surprise there. But it's a good little scene, and then Oliver gives the Felicity a gun and she says, why are you doing this? And he says, the strong protect the weak, and then she runs off. I like that scene. It's good. It's, I think, a nice little moment. And of course, it reminds Oliver how much he loves his version of Felicity. So I'm sure we'll see more of that. So there's a lot of good stuff in this episode. I like seeing Winn as a general, being, in charge, very militaristic almost. It's very different from the nerdy Winn Schott that we get on Supergirl. I love Alex and Sarah talking. Felicity and Iris going around Star Labs is a great little side mission. I wish we had a little bit more of Cisco and Caitlin in this, but I'm sure we'll see them in the next episode. And Barry actually doesn't get a whole lot to do in this episode. He gets some lines and the fight with Tornado, but he really doesn't do a whole lot, which is, it's, to be fair, he did a lot in the first couple episodes, but I'm sure we'll see more from everybody in the last episode, or at least fighting-wise. The big battle will come in the last episode. But this is a good episode, just really setting up the threat of Earth X and what the cost is to everybody if they don't win. Of course, Overgirl trying to get the heart from Supergirl, and the Red Sun has made Supergirl weak. So I enjoy this episode. It's probably out of these three so far, it's my third. It's ranked last. It's still good, but I prefer the first two episodes more. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. So my favorite part is probably either the Alex and Sarah talk about "You're on my team." I just love everything about them. I'm really become a big fan of Sarah in these crossover episodes. I think she's so awesome. But I also really love the Supergirl and Overgirl scene with Overgirl talking to Supergirl. Thought that was a really good scene. I thought Melissa Benoist did a good job portraying both versions of the character. So that's what I really liked about this episode. And I do love the new Leo Snart and Ray character. They're also great too. But that's my thoughts for this episode. So next time we will be reviewing the last episode, Crisis on Earth X Part 4. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next Crisis. Thank you all for listening. Here are my thoughts on the current episodes of The Flash, Supergirl, and Batwoman. Follow me over on the Stardust app at Crashly87, CRASHLIE87. For those bookworms out there, check out my blog, Fantastic Literature, link in the description below for book reviews, short story reviews. And if you like the podcast, be sure to follow, like, and share it. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.